Hi, I'm Jackie Isle. I am the Director of Youth Education at the International Spy Museum, and I've been with the museum for 17 plus years, since pretty much right after it opened in our former location. I am the founding director of youth education. So really just all the programs that we have for families, for K-12 students, for K-12 educators. We started in our former location, and we've grown and grown and grown. And now we're in a new location in L'Enfant Plaza. And no, I am not a spy. I have a master's degree in teaching and museum education. And when I came to the Spy Museum, I came with a variety of experiences in different museums. I've loved every content I've ever worked with, but I particularly enjoy the Spy Museum as it has never gotten boring. It has never failed to provide new and exciting and innovative ways to address traditional curriculum through the lens of spying. So that's why I'm still here, because there's a lot more to do. And now in this new virtual world that we're living in and trying to really expand our creativity, there's even more to do. So that is me in a nutshell. And this is my partner in crime.
I'm the older one, as we say. I'm the mother of the relationship, and you're the daughter. You're the cooler one.
Keep me in line.
But my name is Lucy. I am the School and Youth Programs Manager. I have been with the museum a little over 8 years, which is crazy to think about. But before that, I was an elementary school teacher. So a little different, going from the formal to the informal, but there are a lot of similarities. So we're excited to have you guys today. I think, as Jackie said, we're so used to doing this in person, doing a big blowout for teachers. So it's a little bit different. But we hope today that you guys can get some stuff out of us, some tips and tricks, but also learn what we have to offer. Virtual programming is nothing new to us. We have been doing it for over 8 years. It's a little different these days, but we are here to help. We are here to support you all. We love teaching anyone, anywhere. So we're happy to help. So like I said, questions in the Q&A, feel free to write in the chat as well. We're here to answer any questions you guys have. So Jackie, should we get started?
Let's get started. Here we go.
Quickly tell them who we are as a museum.
Yes, so let's do that. Yes, so here's our
there you go, sorry.
So what's really amazing about the Spy Museum, as I alluded to, is that we are a unique and singular resource. We hold the largest collection of espionage or spy-related artifacts on public view in the world. Because of that, we feel a great responsibility as educators and as an educational institution to do more than just sort of hold those objects and keep them in one location here in Washington, D.C., and you got to come to us to see it. As an educational institution, it is imperative that we leverage the resources that we have. Our collection, our digital resources, our unique way of teaching, to provide interesting, innovative ways of teaching and resources to teachers around the globe. And so even from the very, very beginning, we had a commitment to how are we exporting our content and our resources. And as Lucy said, we do that in a variety of ways through our virtual learning program, which began over 8 years ago. To publications and digital resources, our YouTube channel, our SPYcast. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of resources available through the Spy Museum to help teachers teach what they have to teach in an exciting way. So that is the Spy Museum. And now we're going to tell you a little bit about why we love the Spy Museum as educators. So Lucy, you want to kick this one off?
Sure. So I think one of my favorite things is I do love history, even though we cover all different curriculum areas, but there's no period in history where spying doesn't exist. And we always say from the prehistoric, from cavemen, all the way to present day, even today. I feel like every day I read the newspaper and there's something new about intelligence or something that's forthcoming. And we call it the secret history of history. It's always that hidden layer. So you can always connect history to espionage. So I like that one.
I do love how relevant our topics are, that, you know, while you can look in the past to the pigeon cam, you can, during World War I, you can also open up the newspaper or your Twitter account or however you're getting your news. And there's every single day going to be something about spying. Did you already say that we like to call it, since this is an adult program?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Teachertini's second oldest profession. That's what we call spying. We won't talk about the first. But it is amazing when we're teaching students to say, you know, this is happening every day all around you. It happened yesterday. It happened 100 years ago. It happened 1,000 years ago. It will happen tomorrow, and it will happen 100 years in the future. So that is hugely impactful.
And I always like to say it's partly because it's our need to know. We want to know what's going on as a country, as a world. Everyone has that in them. So you can't help but spy a little bit.
Spying's always existed. And what's great as educators, when we look to form partnerships with teachers and with students and school districts, what we want to know is, what are you teaching and how do you have to teach it? What are your standards of learning? What are your curriculum standards? We look at all of that. And what has been amazing to us as educators is that no matter what discipline you teach, whether it's STEM subjects or US or world history, science, or
music,
English, arts, or music, whatever it is, we have been able to find an angle on it through the lens of intelligence and spying, because it is multi and interdisciplinary. So I love that as an educator. I find that very rich.
I think for me, I love the primary documents. I think growing up, you know, you would hear primary documents in school and it would sort of be really dry and boring. But I think the fact that you're looking at redacted documents, blacked out markings, blacked out photographs that were analyzed and interpreted, I think is just so cool. And you can learn a lot from by looking at various intelligence documents and things like that. So we always look at the declassified documents.
And that's another thing that just makes it so cool. And then the other thing that never ceases to amaze me, because a lot of people say, you know, well, it's the Spy Museum. What are you doing? Teaching children to be spies? No, not at all. In fact, if kids leave our museum or a program that we teach and they like, I could never do that, I don't want to do that, then we really have done our job. It's not about teaching students to be spies. It's about looking at the world of intelligence and spying and looking at the skill sets needed to do that work. And emphasizing and building those skills, whether it be, you know, critical thinking or questioning your sources, or analytical thinking, observation, working well as a team, left brain and right brain, how are we all working together, creative problem solving, all those skills that we want all young people to have are the skills that we can teach through the lens of spying and espionage, and through the exciting and engaging activities that we do in our virtual workshops and our on-site workshops as well.
And I also think, Jackie, just to add on to that, I think there's something for every learner. You know, what you might be really good at analysis, but really bad at putting things together. But you might be really good at drawing, but not great at analysis. So I think, you know, it's pulling on every student's learning and showcasing their abilities to their fellow learners, which I just think is what you want out of a workshop or something. But Jackie, the main reason.
This is the main reason. We're gonna reveal to you the truth.
Maybe.
The ground truth about why we love teaching about spying.
It's cool.
The hook is there. I mean, I can't imagine an instance where you say, okay, we're going to do a spy workshop. Okay, we're going to go to the Spy Museum. And, you know, your students go, oh, really? That's boring. No, I mean, we got the hook. It would take a lot of work to make this uncool, because it starts off being cool. That hook is there. And so we like to capitalize on that. They come to us excited. They come to us wanting to learn. They come to us with this sense of intrigue and adventure. And one of the first things we do when we greet our students, whether it be in the classroom, live or virtually, is we say, you're going undercover. You're going on a mission. You're going to we challenge them right from the get-go to go undercover, get their code names ready, and we tell them we brought them in to solve a problem, and we challenge them with that problem. So that cool factor goes a long way.
And I also think that's what helps our programming too, especially in the virtual realm, by hooking them in with a mission. It's not just lecturing, la, 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 la. We really, all right, hit the ground running. This is what we got to do. And so let's hit the ground running, shall we?
Let's get them in. You guys, we've been talking at you a lot. What I want to do is like just what we're trying to do is give you a sense, a sample of everything that we do, whether it's through our workshops or our programs. Lucy has up here on the screen some of the details. You can get all those details on web links, which we'll send you after this webinar. So we don't need to talk through all of that. But if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. Right now, what we're going to do is sample some of our workshops, right? Give you some sense of what it's like to be a student in Spy School 101. This is one of our workshops that is a cornerstone workshop. It's skill-based, and it takes all those skills that it takes to be a spy and challenges your students. So let's challenge you a little bit. You got your Teachertini. Let's see what you can do.
To give you guys a little bit of background on this program, just quickly, this was our first virtual program we developed. It was purely virtual. It was for those that weren't able to visit the museum. And so we really tried to highlight various aspects of the museum while also highlighting the different aspects of, the skill set that spies might use. Like Jackie said, we're not training spies, but we can showcase the skills that are needed. And so we're only going to focus on 2 today because we don't have all 45 minutes just to do this class. But let's get to Gadget. Let's just go straight into tech ops.
Get right there.
And I wish I could what I love about this gadget in particular is seeing every kid and adult's face when you put this on the screen, because everyone starts to go like looking in and they don't want to say what it really is. And then I get it out of a student and it's just dog poop.
Well, one of the things that I love about gadgets, and this is one aspect of this particular workshop, is that gadgets are solutions to problems, right? So what we do is we tell our students, the object we're about to show you is actually a solution to a problem that a spy might have in the field. So what we want you to do is guess what it is, but also what problem it solves. So
and what I love,
I put in, yep, we got fake tiger poop sensor from NOM. So Ken knows what he's talking about.
But I will say, to add to what Jackie's saying, we use the chat to our advantage when it comes to virtual programming, because it allows all students to answer if they have the ability to write in the chat box. We don't care about spelling. And we can also do the raise your hand feature. And we try and have it so that every student gets the opportunity to at least share their thoughts, because just because this might be a dog do transmitter from Vietnam, or it's really actually tiger poop transmitter, doesn't mean that a gadget hasn't been created that looks like this, that has a concealment device inside it. It may have microfilm or something. So I love when students give different ideas to what it could be, because it could be, they could have created it. So this is the inside of the dog do transmitter, or tiger do transmitter from 1971. All right, and then this one, both Jackie and I love this one. We almost didn't show this today, but this is a camera pen. I'm giving it away just for the sake of time. But what we love about this is we were able to do a CT scan of this gadget, and rarely do you get that opportunity, probably because you don't want to take apart a gadget or an artifact for that matter. And so we were able to do a CT scan of it and take the layers off this pen. And so the students get to see the inner working. So on the right side, you have the actual pen, working pen, and the left side, you have the hidden camera. And when it's stripped all the way to the bare bones, you can even see where the film canister is. And the film, or not the canister, but the film reel is. And which for students today, they don't even know what film was like before digital. So it's always funny to talk about that.
It's great to get students to use their imagination to think in what instance, in what circumstance would a spy need something like this? And we begin to talk about that through chat, or through our conversations that we're having with students. And it's really probing their imagination, and it's giving us a sense of how much they know about what spying is and what its purpose is in terms of collecting intelligence and how it gets done.
We usually end with disguise. It is, because what kid doesn't like to get in disguise, especially in the middle school grades? And just one thing you'll notice, that this is designed for grades 3rd through 12th grade, it's not the same program for 12th grade as it is for 3rd grade. I will tell you that right now. We have modules that we put in and take out depending on the grade level. And we're not going to talk to a 12th grader like we would a 3rd grader. I'm sure you all know that. But disguise, we give them a problem. There is Donna Mitchell. Take a very good look at Donna Mitchell. We believe she is meeting her boss in the lobby of a hotel, and she's going to be in disguise. And we talk with the students about what is disguise. How is it different from a Halloween costume? And so we go into that a little bit. And then they have to remember, they're going to watch a video of Donna Mitchell in disguise, and I'm going to play it while I talk, which is usually not what I do, but for the sake of time. And we have the students silently watch the film. And I promise you, they will be silent. And they're trying to identify Donna Mitchell. And we ask them, what is she wearing? How is she dressed? And not just to say it's the woman in the suit. There's more than one person in a suit. They can't just say.
We always say this is a pre-pandemic hotel
yes.
lobby. There's no social distancing going on here.
And so we have them get into specifics, and they can't shout it out right now. So they have to wait till the end of the footage. And then they tell us who they think it is. And we then reveal that it is the old man right here coming up to the screen. So if you guys had been following and thought that it was this old man, then you are correct. If you didn't, that is okay. You're cannot talk, Jackie. You are in the
Majority,
not minority. Thank you. Coffee.
But this is we really try to get students engaged in a variety of ways through our workshops, whether it's through observation, whether it's through polling, whether it's through chat and discussion and imagination exercises, or in some cases, whether it's through actually getting up out of their chair and looking for something in their house that can become a gadget, or that can solve a problem that we've posed. So we look at those different modalities when we put a workshop together. And the other thing that we look at is, what do we have that's super cool? And some of the things that we have that are super cool are videos like this, but then also showing a video. Do we have this, Lucy? We show this video.
Starting on moisturizer and a foundation.
Former chiefs of disguise at the CIA transforming Donna Mitchell into that old man, and how they do it. The technical skills, the artistry, the thinking about how is Donna Mitchell as a youngish woman gonna walk like an older man. And you see through this video all the techniques they use to transform her. And these are the actual techniques that they used at the CIA as former chiefs of disguise. So it's that cool factor. We got the real deal, the real people who did this line of work, and we can bring them in through these types of resources in the workshops that we do. And we can bring them in live too. We can talk about that later. So now you just saw how Donna Mitchell was transformed. And then we talk about, what would it be like to operate like in that heavy disguise? If you're a woman, you'd have to use the men's room. How would you talk? How do you do this? And we talk about the fact that that level of disguise is very rarely used in the world of spying. It's that might be used once or twice in a spy's career, or never. That light disguise is something that's used more. So.
I'm just going to answer. Janelle had a quick question. Do you use Zoom webinar platform that you are using now with the classroom program so you cannot see the kids?
Never.
If you want us to, we can. We prefer the meeting. We like seeing the kids. We like interacting with the kids, but we also know for privacy reasons, you might not want that. Or also the kids, we don't require them to share their video. The only thing we ask is that they at least try and participate, but we don't do anything. And we
should say we'll use any platform. We love Zoom. We think it works really, really well. It's what we prefer. It's what we're pretty comfortable with, but we have been using every platform imaginable. If it's the one that's authorized by your school district, the ones you like to use, we'll use that. And we just, our ultimate goal is to work with you and your students. So we'll do that any way we can. So just let us know. Okay, so now we're moving into a different type of workshop, it's called Red, White, and Spy. And this one is Spying in the American Revolution. And this workshop I really love because it really emphasizes the kind of interdisciplinary nature of what we do. We're teaching about a period in history, a period that all students need to learn about, the Revolutionary War, but we're also weaving in science, technology, engineering, and math into learning about the history of this time period. And we're talking about problem solving. It's really amazing. So we again get at some of the skills, and we like to put our students in the shoes of a particular challenge. And in this case, they are someone who has entered into a British officer's tent to collect intelligence. They are working as a spy for the Patriots. They open up this trunk in that tent, and they have to memorize everything they see in that trunk. Every object you see in here is an actual artifact. We worked with the Museum of the American Revolution in Philadelphia to get some of these photographs. We give them a certain amount of time, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 12 seconds, 15 seconds, and then we close the trunk. And then, so you were looking at that, I was talking, I was distracting you. But can any of you in chat tell us what shape was the picture frame that you saw?
I kept it really short. Sorry, guys. A, exactly. It is it's the rectangular picture frame.
Someone definitely, who was that? Was that Lisa?
Shirley and Lisa.
Shirley. Good job, you guys. Okay. What device or technology did you see in there? Let's see.
Compass is from, Jessica says A.
The compass.
Shirley, you are correct, my friend.
Telescope.
It is a telescope. There is a watch that looks like a compass.
Yes.
And then we have two more. How many ships are there? And then whose name is on the map? General. And
we're not doing this really because this information is important, but we're trying to put them in the shoes of actually, we tell the story of James Lafayette, a very important story from the Revolution that we tell at the museum as well. And so we get to hang some texture onto that story, but from the point of view of the skills that he needed to do his job.
And not the Marquis de Lafayette in Hamilton, which a lot of kids go crazy over when you say Lafayette. Sorry, Jackie, just had to make sure.
Sure. And this is what I love about this workshop is we can also pivot into chemistry and talking about the role of invisible ink as tradecraft, but the idea that George Washington placed great emphasis on tradecraft and placed great emphasis on developing an unbreakable invisible ink, an invisible ink that if it were intercepted on a plain letter, that the British would not be able to reveal it because it was not a common substance. And so in this particular workshop, we actually recreate an interactive from the museum where the students tell us which what type of ink they want to use and what type of revealing method. And so if they choose lime, we'll go ahead and reveal the properties that lime are. And we talk about, like, what has to happen chemically between the ink and the revealing solution. So if this was an acid, what would reveal the acid, and so they can choose, and then when they choose, if they choose red wine, basically, when we press a certain button, a message would come up in the letter that would say, nope, that doesn't work, or it would come up to say, yes, that works. And just so that you know, George Washington's secret invisible ink formula was gallic acid and ferrous sulfate. So we'll, through deductive analysis, we'll go through that and eventually get to that combination and then tell the story of the ink. So it's history, but it's science coming to life. So that's a little bit of a slice of Red, White, and Spy. And this is very different, this next workshop. This is one that we've been doing on site for many years. And we did it virtually for the first time this past summer. And then we decided we would offer it as a regular workshop for those teachers who are really interested in English language arts and writing workshops. And as you know, most people find out about the world of spying through fiction. because it is a secret profession. And so the gaps are filled in with our imagination, and that imagination plays a role in the books that we read, the movies that we watch. And in this particular workshop, we work with a class together to crowdsource or together to write the beginnings of a new spy fiction novel. And in order to do that, we need to learn what spying is. We need to learn the emotions of it. We need to get into our own characters. And the students make choices about the who, what, when, where, how of the story that we're going to build together. And we give them choices. So for example, the what might be what gadgets are going to be in our story that we're going to tell. That gives us a way in to talk about the real spy gadgets, because we're doing our research for our first spy novel here. It may be everything from that dog do transmitter to a pigeon cam, to a pen camera, to a rat concealment. And we may spin a wheel of chance and say, oh, did it not spin?
It's going to spin.
Wheel of chance. And whatever it lands on, we got to work that into our story. So we challenge them. Okay, now we got to put a rat concealment in our story. How are we going to do that? And then we start talking with our students, you know, well, maybe our main character is living in a city where there's lots of rats, and he has to get some secrets passed to another spy, and they're going to put it in that rat concealment and hide it and then pick it up. So it's really, really fun to do that together. We have had a lot of fun with this, and there's a really great template that should, if you're doing this workshop with us or not, you can download this spy fiction author guide from our website and use it with your students, with or without us.
It'll be in the link you guys get tomorrow from Zoom with all the resources.
Because there's a whole bunch of digital resources that we will share with you that that are separate and independent from the workshops that we do, or they are used in conjunction with the workshops that we do.
I think I love this one because kids can never say they can't think of anything to write about, because we literally give them all the tools they need, all the, you know, they just have to put pen to paper and think of the ideas to go with their rat concealment. So I just think it's such a fun activity for them. It makes
the great extension here is, though, even though we might have started a spy novel together, they can then, after this workshop, go and write their own spy novel. And that could be something that you as the teacher decide to take to the next level with them. Oh, I love this workshop. Because
you want to talk about that one? Go ahead.
I love this because it's one of my favorite galleries in the Spy Museum is about analysis, because to me, it's one of those surprises. People think analysis sounds so boring. How are you going to teach about analysis? We do it in a really fun way. And we talk about the fact that if we had a crystal ball and we could consult the crystal ball and it was accurate all the time, we wouldn't need to collect intelligence, and we wouldn't need analysis, because it would tell us what's going to happen in the future. But because we live in an uncertain world and there's uncertainty everywhere around us, we don't know. We talk to analysts, they tell us, you know, what it's like to do their job. That's how we start to build these workshops, is we talk to the people who do this work. We talk to real intelligence analysts, and they say, you know, it's like putting a puzzle together, except you have no picture on the box. You have no idea how many pieces there are. There are no edge pieces, no corner pieces, and maybe pieces that connected at one point wind up not connecting at another point, or new pieces come in, and you're just like, I can't even put a real puzzle together. This is like an impossible challenge. And they say that is the skill that it takes to be an analyst. So how do we teach kids to hone their analysis skills? We do it, of course, in a really fun game playing way. So we talk about analysts as being human beings. They have human brains, and human brains make mistakes, all right? And they short out. We only have so much capacity. These days, less and less, as far as I'm concerned. But what we're trying to do is we try to reveal cognitive biases, because it's one of the first steps that analysts have to take when they begin to bring their analysis to the intelligence that's collected. They have to understand that they're bringing their own biases to what they're interpreting, what they're analyzing. And so we don't say that at all to the kids. We just jump into a game, and we jump into, this is one of the games we jump in. It's called opposite opinions. And so we're just going to hit you with it. what's the right way to eat pizza? And this differs. Go ahead.
We usually do this with a poll. And if you're doing it on your Zoom platform or any other platform, we don't need to use the poll, but we just find it makes it a little bit more interactive. So go right in chat. What do you think,
yeah,
Sarah?
You're like, why? I'm in a SPY workshop. Why am I talking about pizza? Don't worry, we're gonna get there, but this is the hook. So, how do you eat pizza? With your hands or with a fork and knife?
It's making me hungry, I'm not gonna lie.
And some people, like I'm from New York, so I got a very—
Abby's got it.
Yep. If you're from Chicago, our best, what we're trying to do is get people to argue. And when we do this with students, sometimes they'll start arguing and we're like, yes, we're doing our job, because we want people to argue about this, because they get very rooted. Is dancing sport or not? What's your opinion on this?
This one, I will say, gets the most heat. All the students like to debate about this one. And even the quiet students who haven't talked or voiced anything prior to this, start chiming in the chat, or it's just
how about, well, these days also the toilet paper, does it hang over or under?
That one doesn't get that.
I don't know. That's an adult one.
That's an adult one. It's
guys, put toilet paper over, under. This one kills me. Anyway, why are we doing this? What is all of this? What does toilet paper and dancing and pizza have to do with spying? Well, the idea is we're trying to trap you. If there were arguments and you thought there really was a right way or a right answer, it's because you really were rooted in your viewpoint. And if you were to predict someone else's behavior based on that viewpoint, like I'm going to predict that they're going to eat pizza with their hands because that's the right way to do it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm from New York. I could get that badly wrong, right? Now, it's no big deal if I'm predicting how they're eating their pizza, but it is a big deal if I'm an analyst and I'm trying to predict what, say, the Soviets might do in 1962 with their nuclear warheads on the island of Cuba. And if I am only looking through the lens of what I think is the way to do things, the way the Western world fights wars, I might predict that there's no way they would ever use nuclear warheads, put them on short-range missiles. When after the whole Cuban Missile Crisis was over, we found out that yes, indeed, there were nuclear warheads on short-range missiles, which meant that had this not just been a crisis and it had been a war, our troops would have been hit with nuclear fire. This is called mirror imaging bias, and that's what we're really trying to get at. When you really, you are looking at someone else or another country through the lens of your own experience and your own cultural ways of doing things or seeing things. So that's, we play a couple of games like that, a couple of games that have to do with perception, with cognitive biases, and then we get into a real case here, and we teach about something called red teaming. And red teaming is such a great skill because you can apply it to so many different situations. It's about how do we make a decision, and how do we know if our primary theory is accurate? How do we determine our confidence in our primary theory? The storyline here is whether Osama bin Laden is the resident of the Abbottabad compound in Pakistan. And we bring them right back to the moment when the CIA analysts were debating this, as well as the policymakers, in terms of helping the president make a decision about whether to go ahead and invade this compound or not. And so what our students have to do here is we present them with physical evidence of the compound, one by one, and they determine whether that evidence supports variety of theories. If it's bin Laden, if it's another terrorist, if it's a businessman, if it's the leader of a crime ring. Okay, so let's show you what this looks like.
Hi, I'm Michael Morrell. I was the Deputy Director of CIA and twice its acting director. I was with President Bush on 9/11, and I was with President Obama when we brought Osama bin Laden to justice. One of the hardest decisions I had to make was whether I thought bin Laden was in this compound or not. And before we gave our information to the President of the United States, we ran red teams at the CIA to try and shoot holes in our analysis.
So that's the setup, and it's great because if the setup is, I don't have to do it. It's Mike Morrell, the guy who actually did it at the time period.
And there's a longer piece. I shortened it.
We cut it for this to give you a sample of it. And then as you can see, we're gonna look at the exterior walls. They happen to be taller than most.
Let's look at the walls of this compound. Let's see how they compare to other houses nearby. Abbottabad is a well-to-do town with some large homes. What differences do you see between the walls of other houses versus this compound? Who of our possible inhabitants would live in a nice town, but then put up barbed wire? Make your choices below.
So then they're using a worksheet that comes with this, and they're making as many choices. At the very end of this workshop, they are asked for their confidence level now that they've gone through this. Clearly what we're teaching here is a skill and a tool, not necessarily we're using this case to do it, but what we're showing, what we're trying to reveal is that making decisions is not easy for anyone, especially when the stakes are so high in this. And what the president wanted to know is what level of confidence his situation, this is the situation room, what we want to know, what level of confidence our students have that it's bin Laden in that compound. And then we reveal the kicker at the end is that President Obama had a 50-50 confidence level, 50-50, and ordered the raid. And so it's this sort of bone-chilling moment where you're like, oh my goodness, no matter how much intelligence you have, there's always some measure of uncertainty. So this is a great workshop because it has these real-world scenarios as well as some wonderful ways to expose cognitive biases and perceptions. I'm going to let Lucy talk about forensics.
Just to quickly go back for a second, I realized we didn't put in the slides the grade levels for these programs. So
Didn't we?
is grades 3 through 12. I talked about that already. Red, White, and Spy and Spy Fiction are designed for grades 4 through 6. And that's just based on the learning ability. But if you're teaching high school students and you think they're at a 4th grade learning level, we are happy to do the program for them. Grades don't matter as much as what you think your students are able to do. We just don't want them to find it silly, if that makes sense. And then mind games, which you just saw, is for grade 7 and up. Forensics, which is you're about to see, is for grade 7 and up. And the last is Cuban Missile Crisis, which is also for grade 7 and up. Forensics, this will be the first fall that we're teaching it virtually. We have always done this, I know, in the classroom, and I never really thought that we would be able to do it virtually, but we can. What I love about this program is we talk to real FBI and forensic scientists and analysts, and they helped us create this program. And so we base it off of the real case of Robert Hansen, who was an FBI agent, who was also a spy for the Russians, or the Soviets at the time. So we based this problem, this mission, loosely on his story, where there is a dead drop, where a mole would leave information, and a mole is considered a double agent, would leave information for someone else to pick up. Double agent and mole are a little different too, but for the purpose of this. And then we look at the evidence that is collected at this dead drop. A fingerprint, a shoe print. We're gonna look at handwriting sample because the suspect left a handwriting sample in the dead drop. And we look at all of these types of information and we analyze them, and we use the real techniques that forensic scientists use. We even showcase on video 2 pieces of equipment that we usually have the students do in the classroom. So we look at indented writing. So where we can lift indentations from a paper 10 pages below a top sheet of paper, and we lift what's written on that. And so we'll show that to them in a video, as well as look at the video spectral comparator, the VSC for it, which looks at light on different spectrums, so UV light or infrared light, so things like that. So we analyze all this information with the students, and then we have to have them guess, based on the evidence that they have found and looking at the suspects that they have, who do you think the mole is? Why or why not? And then we sort of talk about circumstantial evidence versus what evidence do you really need to convict someone. And then we sort of end it by saying who the suspect is, but then tie in the real story of Robert Hansen. And especially for local students, because it happened in Virginia. He was arrested just outside Washington, D.C. A lot of students are like, oh my gosh, I know that park, and things like that. So that's fun. So that's just a quick synopsis of forensics. Jackie, did I miss anything?
No, I think you're getting a sense of the variety of workshops that we offer, that we're really trying to bring our students into these problem-solving scenarios in a variety of ways, and we're using all different disciplines and methods to do that. And this is a workshop that is a cornerstone, and it was one of the first workshops that we developed at the museum, using the Cuban Missile Crisis as the storyline to bring our students right into that moment in October 1962, when they are the all source analyst, and this is their desk, this is their virtual desktop in which they are choosing, to look through a variety of different sources of intelligence, whether it be Cuban national reporting coming into the CIA, what are they saying, using the primary documents from the time period. This is one of our favorite documents. This is a report of the personal pilot of Fidel Castro in conversation, talking about the types of guided missiles that they have, the surface-to-surface missiles, the radar, and we take a variety of different sources, whether it be those types of, reports of conversations, reports of things being seen on the island, to understanding that the U-2 and the low-level reconnaissance flights were also bringing back photographic intelligence. And then we put them in the shoes of imagery intelligence analysts. We know that they don't have the skills to do this, so we help them along with keys. We take the analyzed photos and remove the analysis, and then our students have to actually look at these photos closely and determine if there's evidence of medium-range ballistic missile sites, what they're looking for tent areas, they're looking for the erector, they're looking for the missile shelter tent. And so we're doing that analysis together. Now we have not done this. We've done it virtually a couple times, but we're repackaging it now, and we're going to try to use the annotate function with Zoom, which we're going to see how it goes. We know it can be a little dangerous giving that authority over to students, but we'd like to try it. And we feel like if we really bring them into the scenario and do a good job, that they will stay on task and not draw all kinds of things we don't want to see. But if they do, we simply turn off annotate and we go to a more didactic, we will lead it a little bit more.
Jackie, the reason we're doing it this way is usually the students are divided up into teams in their classroom, and they get into groups and look at the photos as a group. If you feel comfortable having your students if you all are in the classroom, we can do it that way. If you feel comfortable putting them in breakout rooms, we can do that way. We're trying to sort of do it for all different types of school learning right now. So that's why this will be a new way if we're doing it the annotated way. Anyway.
The last piece of intelligence, which comes in later, because we're trying to do this over sort of real time, and that in the real world, intelligence isn't all available to you. It comes in at different times, and it alters the way in which you're thinking about the problem that you're trying to solve. The intelligence question here is, are there medium range ballistic missiles on the island of Cuba? This last piece of intelligence that we bring in is the Ironbark File. It is information from a man named Oleg Penkovsky, considered to be the spy who saved the world through Western eyes. He was a colonel in the GRU who decided that for, I would say, ideology, that he would spy for the CIA and MI6, and he would provide really important information about the medium-range ballistic missile capabilities and sites. And so he did do that, and we then share that with the students. This is what's inside the Ironbark File, and this is the real intelligence that Oleg Penkovsky provided. And then we end by triangulating all those different sources of intelligence and advising President Kennedy. And then we reveal the ending, and we also reveal what happened to Oleg Penkovsky, which, if you don't know, book
yes,
our workshops. Those are there's a little sampling of the workshops. Clearly, we just tried to give you a snippet of them. There's also downloadable lesson plans available on our website that range. These are the ones that we have that are full lesson plan booklets that have multiple lesson plans in there, from 9/11 to, a history of terrorism in the United States from 1776 through 2001. A Civil War curriculum, and the Minute by Minute, which you saw, the Cuban Missile Crisis Workshop, we actually have a whole teacher's guide that you can do it yourself without us, should you choose. And we provide the scripts and all the information and resources you need to do that through that. These are all free for the download right on our website. You just go, click on it, download it, you've got it. The other thing is, when we've always had some digital resources on our website, but nothing like what we have now. When COVID hit and we went into pandemic, we dug through our treasure trove and we went through everything we ever developed, whether it was for a family workshop or for a family festival, or whether it was for scout workshops, whatever it was. Over the past 18 years, we developed a lot of resources, and then we began to repackage them so that they were they could stand on their own, and they could be available to teachers and parents who were really desperate for resources. What parents and teachers were telling us is, like, your speaking in code worksheet kept my students busy for a good couple of hours, and I needed that. So you can go and look through all of those digital resources. And
we have 8 different maker.
Yeah, we've got Gadget Lab, how you can make gadgets. Your students can do that on their own at home. There's just a ton of resources available now, and we're always looking to add more. So just stay tuned. There'll be a lot more there.
I'm glad Kenneth was a lifesaver.
So I'm so glad. And we're always looking to do more. I mean, you're looking at 2 of the 3 staff members in the youth education department. So we are rather small, very, very busy, working.
At CIA, we consider.
The YouTube channel is a treasure trove as well. We really urge you to go there, where you can meet the coolest people. We've had the privilege to work with the podcast, the SPYcast. I think
Andrew's on.
Andrew's on. Hi, Andrew, our brand new Introduce yourself. There he is. He's in charge of the SPYcast, and you're going to start seeing his new take on it. He's brand new, so I love when a new historian comes in. They kind of take the SPYcast in a new direction. But the idea behind SPYcast is that for so many years, we were getting the coolest people to come in and speak at the Spy Museum, and then when that 50 minutes or 2 hours or whatever it was over, poof, it disappeared. It was like a one and done experience. So we decided, my goodness, we're the Spy Museum. We could lock them in a room and make them do a podcast with us. And these have gone really, really well. You can search the index by anything, any topic, anything you want to teach. And there's a ton of really good SPYcasts out there, as well as books available from the store. We have the best collection of books. We have such an amazing woman who's a book specialist who works in our retail store, and she works very closely with us. So if we hear from teachers that they're looking for resources on a specific topic, we can work with her either to procure those books, or they're already on our shelves. So, and now everything's online, so you can go to our retail store that way. So we're here for you, to work in partnership with you, to support what you have to do, to help in any way we can. If you didn't see anything that we presented that helps you, but you have an idea for something, just email us. Our email is educators@spymuseum.org. A lot of the resources we just talked about came out of teacher conversations, teachers telling us what they wanted, what they needed. We don't operate in a vacuum. We operate in partnership. So, okay, so any questions? I don't see anything coming up, but if there's any questions for us, please feel free to put it in chat. Please feel free to put it in the Q&A. But we're really thrilled that you joined us. Did we get to everything, Lucy?
We covered. Do you have anything on socialism, Marxism in the U.S.? It's a great question.
Not really.
No, but I'm thinking. I know we have a podcast on it.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Give us. You know what? Write us an email. We'll send you some links.
Yeah.
And we're happy to talk to you about what it is that you're doing in your classroom and how we can be of help. Anything else you got? Oof, that was a tough one.
I know. Does Andrew already have?
Yep, there he goes. We got the Rosenbergs up there, the debate on the podcast on the Rosenbergs. So,
Oh, is that the one with Mike Maripol?
Yeah, I think that might be.
That's a good one.
There's some amazing digital media.
And there's also a really good YouTube. It was a lecture a couple years ago, Mike Maripol and, oh gosh, someone on the other side arguing about not arguing, but talking about the Rosenbergs, and was Julius Rosenberg a spy, or was Ethel a spy? I'm not articulating it correctly, but it was a great program. My brain's just not remembering all the details.
So we got from Ken an anecdote about how his students thought he was a spy, I think, and then he did a spy unit on the Cuban Missile Crisis. But yeah, we get a lot of teachers who are doing some amazing work out there. So as I said, we've got access to experts, and we're so thrilled to have someone like Andrew in our midst, and all the experts we have access to. But we love to hear what you've been doing in your classroom and what's been successful for you, because that's really important for us as we develop new resources. Okay, well, I think
That's it.
I think we got through it all, and I know it was long, but I really hope that you got something out of it. And remember, it's the beginning of a relationship. And if there's anything you need from us, please don't hesitate to be in touch with us. We are thrilled to have this time with you. Thank you so much. And here's to a great school year, you guys, and here's to you. We love teachers. We respect what you do, and we're here for you. So cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, guys. Stay safe.
Guys, stay safe. Have a good fall.